There is a new effort to raise the funds needed to keep the Milwaukee County Domes open and to improve the facility and programming. The Milwaukee Domes Alliance is a nonprofit organization taking the lead on the considerable task of making repairs, improvements, and operating the Milwaukee County landmark. Here to give us an update on those plans and how the effort to raise millions of dollars is going is Krista Beal Dievenbach, CEO of the Domes Alliance. Thanks so much for being with us and to give us an update.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The Domes Alliance has been around for a while. It was formerly known as Friends of the Domes. Why did this new group form to step in and take on this significant fundraising effort and to make the decision to run and reimagine the domes?
Yeah, so we have been operating since the late 80s, and over the time of those many years, we have continued to take on more responsibility in terms of the operations of the facility. So today, we actually do operate about half of the facility. We run the gift shop and do all the educational programming. And Milwaukee Domes Alliance, formerly Friends of the Domes, really saw the value of having this indoor horticultural oasis in a cold climate state. And we really wanted to make sure that the domes was going to be here for generations to come. And what we knew is that if we didn't step up and do something about it, that it would be just a matter of time before the domes would have to be demolished. And so my organization about 7 years ago embarked on a strategic planning process. And through that, they identified the areas that we really needed to expand and grow. And over the course of that time, we've made strategic investments in our staff resources and our infrastructure that allows us to scale more successfully. And so, if you look at all of our key metrics that we're tracking on, we are clearly an organization on the move. Our membership over the last 5 years has increased 250%. Our revenue has increased 300%. Our admissions at the domes has increased over 100%. And that's all due to these investments that we've made. And once our organization was in a position that we could lead for this new future, we stepped in, and that's what we're doing.
How would you describe the current physical and financial condition of the domes, and how did it get that way?
Yeah, so we all know the Milwaukee County financial situation. There's been a crisis really for decades, and it's really created a challenging dynamic for all of the county, but the Mitchell Park Domes as well. And so we are dealing with decades of deferred maintenance. We were unable to address, the challenges facing the conservatory. It was kind of oftentimes a Band-Aid approach, because that was what was the only option available to us. So we've managed to stay open to the public, and we still provide an amazing experience for our visitors. But we weren't really able to address those challenges like the water that comes in. If you go to the domes today, if it's a very rainy day, you'll see that the water is dripping down in the domes. And that water infiltration, as you can imagine, it's not good when it happens at our homes. It's not good when it happens at the domes. And so just like you would, within your own home, you would need to replace your windows after maybe 50 years. And that's part of what we need to do with the domes. We need to replace 6,500 panes of glass. We need to repair the seals, the broken seals. We need to repair the concrete. The good news is, like that I know sounds pretty dire. However, the reality is, from a structural engineering perspective, the facility is very sound. It would continue to exist for 50 years if we did nothing. We just wouldn't be able to use it as an indoor garden or really for any purpose. So those issues needed to be addressed. And our organization, Milwaukee Domes Alliance, came up with a plan that doesn't just put the domes back the way they were, which is they were beautiful from from day one, of course. But it doesn't just put them back the way they were. It's going to imagine this new future for them that leans into this sustainable business model. So, our plan from the very beginning was how do we create a business model that allows the domes to generate enough revenue that it can cover its expenses and put away for future maintenance needs. And so you may have heard that the Milwaukee County has committed $30 million toward this effort, which is huge. And, a lot of times people will ask, how is it that Milwaukee County is able to make this commitment or that they're willing to make this commitment? And the reality is it's the most financially responsible option. Demolition of the domes would be $18 million just to demolish them and put in a splash pad. But for just 12 million more, we are able to leverage the county's commitment, pull together this other financing that allows us to create this amazing new experience for our visitors.
How is that other financing going? How much more do you need to raise? I know the figure, a daunting figure, a big figure, $114 million is out there. How are you doing on fundraising and filling that gap between the 30 million that the county is going to provide and the additional money, which is significant, that you will need?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I mean, that is one of the most powerful parts of this plan is that, that capital stack. So it is just south of $115 million. It does include county funds, but it includes all of these other sources that come together to make this project possible. So we are leveraging tax credit financing. So that includes historic tax credits and new market tax credits. We're also doing a philanthropic campaign in the amount of $35 million. So we're asking the philanthropic community to join us as partners in this. And when you put all of that funding together, it makes this project possible. And so I would say, we are doing really well. We have hit the ground running. We've made tremendous progress in a very short period of time. And we're on track to be able to kick this project off as soon as 2027, 2028.
You mentioned that this is not just making sure the domes are structurally secure, but also reimagining the domes. What might we see differently in the Milwaukee Domes 2.0?
I love that. So really, that is when we talk about the physical limitations of the conservatory. We mean, yes, the deferred maintenance challenges that we've already talked about, but we also mean that there are pieces of the conservatory that keep it from being modern and being able to provide the type of experience that people expect in a modern conservatory. And so, one example of that is our gift shop. It is mighty and does a great job generating revenue for us, but it's tiny. And so we're going to expand that gift shop by 100%. We're going to be adding a new cafe, which will allow people to spend more time at the domes. We've been running a pop-up cafe in our lobby for a couple of years to see if it would be successful. And we know that it will be tremendously successful and it'll be able to help people, extend their stay and be able to have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine. We're also going to be adding, which is one of a lot of people's favorite elements of this project, is what we're calling the Little Sprouts Dome. So what many people don't realize is that there's actually four domes. There's the three large ones that everybody knows about, the Show Dome, the Desert Dome, the Tropical Dome. But tucked behind there's a smaller dome. We use it as a growing greenhouse, and it's been there since the beginning. And hasn't been open to the public. It is still significant in size. It's 5,000 square feet. And we're going to turn that 5,000 square feet dome into an interactive play space for kids and families. And so, we know that one of the important markets for this conservatory is family. So 1 out of every 3 people who walk into our facility have school-aged children in the home. It's an important market for us. And right now, we're always listed as the top 5 favorite places for families in Milwaukee. But really leaning into that and being able to provide an even better experience for those the youngest of our visitors. And so we'll have all kinds of fun, interactive activities in there where they'll be able to really dig into their love of nature.
Well, thank you so much for the work that you're doing to make sure that the Domes is here for generations to come. And if you'd like more information or if you would like to donate, you can visit the website, milwaukeedomes.org.